Hey, I want to share some more testimony with you. Jesus Christ, He's the pathway to enlightenment. You wouldn't think so, based on how many Christians act. I spent many years assuming I was a Christian because I mumbled through some words and attended church in my younger years. Looking back at those years, I wasn't truly willing to find God. And no one really questioned me when I told them I knew Jesus. I hadn't seen any miraculous change in others or myself, so I just assumed that that was it. It was either all made up, or I hadn't met a Christian that cared enough to live what they preached. I eventually stopped trying and just lived life on my terms. In college, I tried every drug that was ever available to me. I thought I had finally found enlightenment in mushrooms. I can't really put a number on how many times I tripped, nor do I care to. Needless to say, I lost count. Each time, I felt like I had grown a little closer to enlightenment until I eventually went insane. Drugs are not a pathway to enlightenment. I'm not judging those that take them, nor am I questioning their salvation. That's between you and Jesus. I'm just telling you about my experience. Now, my insanity, it led to some religious delusions of grandeur. Calling them manic episodes do not do them justice. Imagine waking up and thinking you were the Antichrist, and you couldn't be told otherwise. Then, imagine waking up and thinking you were the second coming of Jesus Christ. The things I did during those episodes, I didn't have control of. I emotionally harmed those I cared about the most. Looking back, I was a stumbling block for myself, actually believing Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. And I regret to say I was a stumbling block for those I loved the most to actually believing in Him. Yes, before I truly gave my life to the Lord a few years ago, there were many parts of my life that were beautiful. My friends and family made me happy at times, and life really had its moments that I'm so appreciative of. I tell you all of this to say those beautiful moments pale in comparison to a true relationship with Jesus Christ after you lay down your own life and start living for Jesus Christ. It took rock bottom for me to really give in. I was at a mental hospital, out of my mind, and positive I'd be living in that vicious cycle of finding my mind and losing it over and over and over again. If a fellow patient at that mental hospital that truly was a Christian hadn't come to me, he was the only one of us that was sane in the hospital, and spread the gospel to me, I would have lost everything. My wife would have left me, and rightfully so. I'd still be on drugs to kill the pain, and I'd already made 2 attempts on my life while insane prior to that put me in the hospital, so I'm sure I'd have eventually been successful. Medication, it didn't heal me. If it had, I wouldn't have kept losing my mind when I was on the medication in the past. The only thing that made me whole and has truly healed me and given me enlightenment is accepting Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and having a daily relationship with Him, making Him my everything. I'm not going to tell you that there isn't struggles for true Christians. One of my biggest struggles is watching hypocrites that say they know Jesus and make Christians have a bad name. I'm referring to the ones that Jesus will look at and say, I never knew you. They kept me from being willing to pursue Christ. There's still many, many Christians that are living for Christ. And yet it seems as if they're the minority. But God bless them. I love you guys dearly. I trust God and know that it's like this for a reason, even if I have a hard time understanding it at times. If you say you know Jesus, start acting like it. And that's a message for me too. I'm not perfect, but man, I'm trying to get my stuff together. I have people I love that are so far gone because of hypocritical individuals. And I have a hard time forgiving the hypocrites, but I do. And I want them to truly give their lives to Christ too. I pray daily for the salvation of all, for everyone, regardless of their sins, because I know He will wash them clean. I can't wash them clean, and I've sinned worse than most. So instead of focusing on judging people, like so many people that claim to know Jesus Christ do, I focus on pointing them to the answer, which is Jesus Christ. God is my witness. I'm telling you the truth. I pray this makes you willing to give God another chance and not allow the faults of man to keep you from Him. This all came off very hypocritical of me calling out hypocritical people. And I acknowledge that. And Lord, forgive me for that. That's not my intention. But it is something that has to be said. And I need to work on the hypocriticalness of myself as well. And that's something that I submit over to Jesus Christ every single day. And every time I feel tempted, I try like crazy to submit that over to Him and resist that temptation. And it doesn't always work out. But I'm aware of it, and I'm constantly handing it over to Him, and I'm seeing progress. And that's merely what I'm trying to recommend to you as well. Thank you.